Welcome to my digital art room. Did you know that art can be more than just pictures? Today we're going to look how street artists use both images and words to convey their ideas to others. Then we'll learn how we can create our own artwork to share positive messages within our community. Let's get started. We're going to begin by looking at the work of some street artists. Street art is art created on surfaces in public places. Street art is usually created as a way to convey a message to a large group of people. Let's take a look at some of these artists. Jason Naylor's slogan is creatively positive times positively creative. Jason's work regularly contains messages of love and kindness. His mission is to spread color and positivity across the globe. How do you think his work helps to spread positivity? Andrea van Bujdos, also known as Queen Andrea, is a New York City-based artist. The excitement, diversity, and energy of city life is where Andrea finds her inspiration. Her work often includes a bold use of color and intricate abstract designs. What exciting colors or energetic shapes do you see in her work? Shepard Fairey first became interested in art as a young man when he started to use his drawings on t-shirts and skateboards. Fairey uses images as symbols to represent ideas and enhance his message. Here you can see how he uses the dove as a symbol of peace. What other symbolic images do you see in his work? LaQuena McIver's murals serve as vibrant symbols of positivity and affirmation. Her work is a form of self-expression. She uses words both as images and as messages. Making art is her way of sharing her thoughts with the world. What positive and uplifting messages do you want to share with the world? Eduardo Cobra was born in Brazil and officially began his career as an artist at the age of 12. Since then, he's painted over 3,000 murals all over the world. The main goal of his work is to provide a space for the community to interact with his art. He didn't want the public to have to go to a museum to see art. He wanted it to be accessible to everyone. I wonder how you could share your work with the community. Now that we've seen how these street artists can convey messages in their work through the use of images and words, let's start to think about what positive messages you want to share. What are some positive words, phrases, or quotes that you can use in your message? You can choose to use just one word, a whole sentence, or even write a poem. It's up to you to decide what you want to say. Also, think about what images, symbols, shapes, and colors you can use to add to your message. Once you know what you want to say, you need to think about how you're going to say it. Since we won't be able to paint large murals on buildings, we need to think of some alternatives. So, how can you share your message with the community? One way is you can use chalk to draw and write your message onto your driveway, sidewalk, or fence. Be sure to ask your parents for permission first. Another way to share your message is to create a poster or a sign. You can draw or paint on a piece of paper or even cardboard. Then you can choose to display your message outside your home, on your window, by the mailbox, or on the front door so that neighbors can see it when they are walking by. You can also create messages in nature by using found materials such as sticks, rocks, pine cones, or flowers. You could also paint your message on a rock or a stone and leave it outside for others to see. Some other ideas include using cups in a fence, creating a flag or a banner, or even writing your message in a card to give to someone in your family. The goal of this project is to create a positive message and to share it with others. What you make is up to you. So, what are some other ways you can share your message? Well, I hope you enjoyed learning about street art today and seeing all the different ways some street artists use images and words to convey messages in their work. I look forward to seeing what positive messages you have to share. Let's use art to bring some joy back into our communities. Until next time, bye. Hello artists, today we're going to talk about what we use to make art. What are some materials that artists traditionally use to make art, and what are some things that you can find around your home to make your own masterpieces? Let's start our journey. Finding conventional and unconventional art materials. Conventional is an adjective used to describe things that are normal, ordinary, and follow the accepted way. Conventional art materials might be supplies you would find in the art room. Materials that are traditionally used by artists, such as pencils, paints, paper, glue, and clay, would all be considered conventional. What are some other conventional art materials you can think of? Unconventional is an adjective used to describe things that are different from what is normal or from the way most people do things. Items you might find in a junk drawer could be considered unconventional. Now, let's take a look at some artists who use unconventional materials. Andy Goldsworthy is a British sculptor that creates temporary landscape art installations out of objects that he finds in nature. He uses sticks, stones, leaves, and anything else that he finds outside. What are some objects you can find from nature to create art? Michelle Stitzline creates art with recycled materials and found objects. She uses things like old garden hoses, electrical wire, computer cables, and piano keys. How many different objects can you find hidden inside her artwork? El Anatsui was born in Ghana. He uses materials typically thrown away, such as bottle caps, printing plates, and copper wire. Here you can see how he weaves all of these different materials together. What does his sculpture remind you of? Jean Shin is a Korean American artist who creates monumental installations. Here you can see how she built this maze by creating corn stalks using green plastic soda bottles. On the right is a sculpture called Soundwave that she made by melting together old vinyl records. I wonder what it would be like to walk around and interact with her work. Vic Muniz is a Brazilian artist and photographer. Here you can see how he uses items you might find in your refrigerator to make art. On the left is a painting made from chocolate syrup. In the center is a portrait of Medusa made with spaghetti, and on the right is the Mona Lisa spread out using peanut butter. What delicious foods could you use to make art? And here are some examples of how I've explored unconventional materials. Instead of painting on a paper or canvas, I painted my own hand. What are some unconventional surfaces you could paint on? I also made this portrait on the right using dog hair. How would you go about making a drawing with hair? Here is a list of some of the other unconventional art materials you might find in or around your house. What other items could we add to our list? Now it's your turn to get creative. Search your house and yard for conventional and unconventional art materials. Experiment and create a work of art with the art materials you've discovered. Well, I can't wait to hear all about the unique materials you find just in and around your home. And I'm even more excited to see all of the amazing work you will create. Until next time, bye. Hello artists, welcome back to my virtual art room. I have a question for you. Are a person's eyes located at the top, bottom, or middle of their face? Well, today we're going to learn how to use something called proportions to help us draw a portrait of a person. Let's get started. A portrait, or retrato, is an artwork that depicts a person. To help us draw realistic faces, artists use something called proportion, or proporción. This refers to the relationship in size and placement between one part and another. Proportions are like a guide used to help you with drawing facial features. Before we get started, you're going to need a pencil, eraser, and a sheet of paper. You can press pause during this video and draw along with me. We're first going to draw the head, la cabeza. What shape is a head? Yep, it's an oval. Since we're going to focus on the face for our portrait, we want to make sure we draw it big. Notice how the head is a little wider at the top and thinner at the bottom, sort of like an upside down egg. The next step is to draw the neck, el cuello. Make sure your neck is slightly more narrow than your head, but don't make it too thin. You don't want it to look like a lollipop. Next, we have the shoulders, los hombros. What is wider, your shoulders or your head? Correct, your shoulders are wider than your head. Now we're ready to draw our facial features. Let's start with our eyes, los ojos. Our eyes are located halfway between the top of our head and the bottom of our chin. You can draw a horizontal line in the middle to help guide you. I'm also going to draw a vertical line in the center. Faces are symmetrical, meaning they are the same on both sides. So I'm going to lightly draw a vertical line to help maintain symmetry. You can use a ruler to help you. Now we're ready to draw our eyes. Eyes are sort of shaped like almonds or footballs. Try to keep both of your eyes the same size. The space between your eyes should also be about the same. Finally, we're going to draw our iris, which is the colored circle in our eyes. Notice how the iris should touch the top and bottom of your outer eye shape. Then we have the eyebrows, las cejas. Notice how your eyebrows are wider than your eyes. Also, you can express many different feelings and emotions just through the shape of the eyebrows. Now we're moving on to the nose, la nariz. This can often be the most difficult facial feature to draw. Your nose is located halfway between your eyes and your chin. You can lightly draw a line to help guide you. Your nose is also roughly the same width as your eyes. To start, draw a little U shape for the tip of your nose. On each side, draw some narrow ovals for your nostrils. Then draw two curved lines for the side of your nose. Next, notice how your nose is connected to your eyebrows. It curves in to form the bridge of your nose. Moving on to the mouth, la boca. The bottom of your mouth is located halfway between your nose and your chin. Draw a light line as a guide. Notice how your mouth is about the same width apart as the center of your eyes. To draw your mouth, you need to draw your lips. Start off by drawing a curved line. This will be part of your bottom lip. Then draw another curved line connecting the two. Now you have your bottom lip. It sort of looks like a banana. Your top lip has a little dip in the middle. Start off by drawing a small V shape. Then use curved lines to connect it to the end of your lips. I'm going to draw my person smiling, so I'm going to add another line to form my top lip, leaving some space in the middle for my teeth. You can choose any expression for your portrait, and you can always make changes later. Now we have our ears, las orejas. The top of your ears start at about eye level and the bottom end around your nose. You can draw a thin oval shape for your ears. And there you have it. You've used proportions to draw a face. Now it's time to add details to our portraits. Keep in mind that these proportions are just a guideline. All of our faces are different and unique. We need to make adjustments to transform our drawings into portraits. Now, let's see some examples of how we can add details to our portraits. Frida Kahlo is a Mexican painter who is well known for her self-portraits. A self-portrait is when you create a work of art of yourself. If you create a self-portrait, you can use a mirror to help you. Notice how Frida includes details in the backgrounds of her self-portraits to represent her thoughts and ideas. What could you include in the background of your portrait? Chuck Close often paints his family and friends. You can see how he uses photographs to help make his portraits look more realistic. His painting styles changed over time, from being super realistic to being more loose and abstract. Two of his paintings are in color, while one is in black and white. Also, notice how the portrait on the right is broken into tiny squares filled with colored circles. What sort of colors or styles could you include in your portrait? Kehinde Wiley is famous for his portrait of former President Barack Obama. He has also painted portraits of other famous celebrities, musicians, and athletes. Wiley also paints portraits of everyday people from the community. The backgrounds in his portraits are often very detailed and ornate. Do these backgrounds remind you of anything you've seen before? Now take a look at these unique portraits created by Layla Ali. Layla doesn't paint specific people. Instead, her characters come from her imagination. Even though these people don't exist in real life, Layla is still able to portray their individual personalities. How could you express someone's personality in your portrait? Now that we've looked at some different portrait artists, it's time to think about your work. Who do you want to make a portrait of? You can draw yourself, a family member, a friend, someone in the community, a character from a story. You can even use your imagination to create your own person. Think about what that person looks like. Is their hair long or short? What sort of clothing or accessories are they wearing? You can even go back and edit some of the facial features. All of these details are important. Remember, portraits can communicate more than just how a person looks. How can you capture the personality of the individual in your portrait? What are they thinking and feeling? How can you express those emotions in your portrait? Once you've drawn your portrait, it's time to add some color. Color es uno de los 7 elementos de arte. You can use any material you have to add color. It could be conventional materials such as crayons, markers, colored pencils, or paint. If you don't have any of those, you can also just try shading some areas with a pencil. Or you can even make your own paint by mixing water with some unconventional materials such as spices, coffee, juice, and food coloring. Don't forget to show good craftsmanship or artesania when adding color. Stay inside your shapes and color them in completely. Remember to take your time and do your best work. So now's your chance to get creative. I suggest you first use proportions to draw your portrait, then add all of your details, maybe even include a background, and finally add your color at the end. Well, I hope you enjoyed learning how you can use proportions to draw a person, and I can't wait to see who you decide to draw. Until next time, keep creating. Bye.